Hello, it's Wednesday the 22nd of July. Writing in the 1930s, the poet T.S. Eliot sounded world-weary and cynical as he lamented the inability of humankind to fulfill its God-given potential. In a verse from his play The Rock, he says this: "All our knowledge brings us nearer to our ignorance. All our ignorance brings us nearer to death, but nearness to death no nearer to God. Where is the life we have lost in living? Where is the wisdom we have lost in knowledge? Where is the knowledge we have lost in information?" In those last two lines, he refers to wisdom, knowledge, and information, with the implication that the more information we can access, the more elusive wisdom becomes, lost in the vastness of the body of knowledge we acquire, which in turn is fed by our insatiable appetite for information. If he saw this as being the case in the 1930s, I wonder what he would make of today's world. Never in human history have we had ready access to so much information. Google and Wikipedia have become the first ports of call for answers to almost any question we might have. And even someone of very limited life experience like me can appear impressively well read, for example by their ability to quote T.S. Eliot on demand. So why is it that information and wisdom might sit in opposition to each other? Why is it that in our information age, mental health diagnoses, even before coronavirus struck, were at record levels? Why has ready access to so much information not been able to deal with many of the more troubling aspects of the human condition? I wonder if one reason might be that information is objective and impersonal, whereas wisdom is all about how we relate to one another. According to the scriptures and the experience of many people of faith, it's also about how we relate to God. Wisdom has been defined as skills for living, and perhaps the most essential of those skills is to learn to live in relationship with others. People were created to belong to one another in community. To quote a much earlier poet, John Donne, "No man is an island entire of itself." And earlier still, in the book of Genesis, we see God's intentions when he said that it is not good for the man to be alone. So the entire biblical narrative is about people being called into partnerships with God and each other. Information, even knowledge about another person, is not an adequate base for a relationship. Relationship requires wisdom, if it is to have meaning or value. Relationship with another person needs the wisdom to discern when it's appropriate to speak or to be silent, when it's appropriate to affirm or to challenge, to reach out or to withdraw. Sometimes Christians, and maybe especially those who, like me, are preachers, find it easier to talk about God than live in relationship with him. Eugene Peterson tells a story about a 5-year-old girl called Charity, whose grandma, a very devout lady, had been to stay for a week. After she'd gone, her other grandma, also a Christian lady, then came to visit. They had a hug, and then Charity said to her, "Grandma, can we not talk about God all the time? I know he's everywhere, but can we just get on with our lives?" Some of us can talk endlessly about God, drawing from many sources of information, but to just get on with our lives in the light of his presence, I think that might be what the writer of Proverbs had in mind when he wrote, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom." Let's pray, using a verse from the ancient Irish hymn, "Be Thou My Vision." Be Thou my wisdom, be thou my true word. Be thou ever with me, and I with thee, Lord. Be thou my great Father, thy child let me be. Be thou in me dwelling, and I one with thee. Amen.